Tondo is probably one of the most popular places in the Philippines for all the wrong reasons. Whenever people talk about this area, it's almost always about crime, danger, poverty, or the bad reputation attached to it. And honestly, my initial impression about Tondo is that it's not the safest place to wander around, especially at night. But sometimes places are very different once you actually see them with your own eyes. So tonight, let's go on a little walking adventure. Hi, good evening. My name is Onad and welcome to Tondo, Manila. Actually, I originally came here to visit Ugbo Street, where there is a famous food bazaar. A lot of vloggers feature this place, and many people even travel from other cities just to eat here at night. But since we're already here anyway, I thought maybe we could walk around and see what Tondo actually looks like at this hour. So yeah, let's just casually explore the area tonight. Okay, so we are starting here along Vitas Street, and here you see the urban Deca Homes Manila, a budget condominium project. There are actually several developments like this across Metro Manila, designed for Filipinos who want to experience condo living but cannot afford the much higher prices in business districts like Makati or Taguig. The main goal here is practicality and affordability. But of course, there's always a trade-off. One of the biggest is the very high unit density per building, which can make the environment feel crowded. And right outside, you see a lot of activities happening, vendors selling street foods and all sort of things, delivery of parcels, and the traffic is actually a bit chaotic even at this hour. So you can only imagine how worst it gets during rush hour when people are heading to and from work at the same time, and this entire stretch can easily get even more congested. And this here is the Deca Mall, a small community shopping mall developed mainly to serve the residents of the nearby condo and surrounding neighborhood. Let's take a quick look inside. So inside, you'll find the usual familiar mix of stores, convenience stores, fast food chains, and even hardware shops for basic household needs. Think of it more as an all-in-one neighborhood convenience center, rather than a shopping destination people purposely travel to for leisure. It's the kind of place built around convenience and accessibility instead of entertainment or luxury. The atmosphere is also very different from upscale malls. It feels more practical, busy, and community oriented. Up on the second floor, there's a children's play area. There's also a section that's still unfinished or still being developed, possibly reserved for future expansion if more commercial space is needed as the community grows. So we are back here in Vitas Street, and as you can see, the traffic has actually gotten a bit worse compared to earlier. So we'll just keep walking until we reach Ugbo Street, which is a few hundred meters from here. On a more positive note, the streets are actually quite bright at night. The combination of streetlights and the glow coming from small stores, shops, and eateries along the road helps illuminate the area quite well. Alright, so we are now here in Ugbo, and my initial plan was to finish the walk first before having dinner. But I suddenly got hungry seeing all the food and people eating, so I decided to stop for a quick break and try some of the food here. And this is what I ordered: the seafood platter and the flame grilled barbecue platter. The seafood platter comes with shrimp, mussels, squid rings, crab, and some potatoes soaked in this rich reddish sauce. The flame grilled barbecue platter comes with a grilled pork chop, a chicken thigh, and a sausage. For everything here, the total cost is around $10, and the rice is unlimited, by the way. I decided to sit here on the upper floor so I could watch the streets and the surrounding area while eating. Honestly, it's a pretty nice spot because you can just relax up here and observe the atmosphere outside while enjoying the food. Taste-wise, I'd say the food is okay. Nothing super fancy or mind-blowing, but it's decent enough if you're hungry and just looking for a satisfying meal. The name of this place is Buhupa Seafoods Ribs and Steak, and is located just at the back of the entrance of Ugbo. Alright, so we are back on the street again, and from here, we'll just take a quick walk around Ugbo before we head a bit deeper into the surrounding areas for a more adventurous back alley walk. As you can probably notice, there's actually not as much crowd tonight compared to what you usually see online. If you've seen videos of Ugbo before, you'd usually expect packed tables and that kind of shoulder to shoulder crowd the whole stretch of the street. But tonight is a bit different. Maybe it's because it's a weekday, since this place is usually packed during weekends when families and visitors come from different parts of Metro Manila. So yeah, it's a bit more relaxed tonight. You can still see food stalls open, people eating, and a few groups hanging around, but it's not the full busy, chaotic vibe that this place is known for. Honestly, tonight feels more like a normal street night rather than a big food festival. Alright, now let's move to the more interesting part of the walk. We're going to head into some of the back alleys around. This is usually the part people are curious about whenever they hear about Tondo. So let's just take a slow and casual walk and see what it actually looks like. One thing you immediately notice is that even though the streets become narrower, they are surprisingly bright. These overhead bulb lights installed along the streets are actually good in illuminating the alleys. It doesn't look as dark as what people might expect. Because of that, the overall feeling is actually quite normal and manageable. Now let's go a bit deeper into an even more narrower alley. The space becomes tighter, but again, it's still well lit in most parts. That's something I didn't really expect before coming here. I was honestly thinking it would be darker and quieter, but it's actually the opposite in many sections. Another thing I noticed is that I haven't really seen people drinking alcohol openly in these alleyways, at least not in the areas I've walked through tonight. That's actually a bit surprising because that's often one of the assumptions people have about places like this. But here, it just feels like people are going about their normal routines. You'll also see small sari-sari stores still open, kids occasionally passing by, and residents just chatting outside their homes. The overall vibe here is actually quite normal for a place that's often labeled as unsafe. And honestly, walking around tonight, I didn't really feel any uneasiness or anything like that. It just felt like a regular night walk through a busy part of the city. People are out, stores are open, food stalls are still serving, and life is just going on as usual. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you can just walk anywhere without thinking. I'm not saying this is the kind of place where you can just go into any alley and expect everything to be fine. Like anywhere else, you still need to be aware of your surroundings and make common sense decisions. For example, if I'm walking through a tight alley and I see a group of drunk people just hanging around, I wouldn't force my way through it. I'd just turn back or take another route. And that's not something specific to Tondo. That's just basic street awareness anywhere you go, whether it's here, in another city, or even abroad. It's really just about reading the situation. Most of the time, things are completely normal, but you still stay alert. You don't switch off your awareness just because the place feels calm at the moment. And I think that's an important point to make, especially for viewers who might only see clips online. Sometimes short videos can make a place look either extremely dangerous or completely harmless, but reality is usually somewhere in the middle. Of course, this is just a quick walk, and Tondo is a very large and complex area. What I'm showing you here is only a small snapshot of what it looks like at night in this particular section. Different streets, different corners, different blocks, they can all have different conditions. So it's really not fair to judge the whole place based on just one walk. But based on what I've seen so far tonight, the general impression is that this is a very dense but active community. It doesn't feel like a place that shuts down or becomes empty after dark. People are still outside, businesses are still running, and life just continues even late into the night. There's a lot of movement, a lot of noise, and a lot of everyday normal things happening all at once. In a way, it feels very alive, not polished, not perfect, but definitely active. And honestly, I think that's what stood out the most for me tonight. It didn't feel like a place frozen in the reputation people usually attach to it. It just felt like a real part of the city where people live their everyday lives. Alright, I think we'll start wrapping this up here. If you made it all the way here, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this kind of raw walking vlog, please consider subscribing and don't forget to like and leave a comment down below on what you think about this place. Cheers!